Folks, welcome to the video. I've been recording a absolute boatload of Watcher of Realms content recently that's been going live on the channel, and you guys have seemingly been liking it. I don't even know what I said, and providing support on those videos. So first of all, that is absolutely amazing. Thank you to each and every one of you. Highly recommend checking out the game as well if you don't play it. But we're in Raid Shadow Legends here today, and I'm going to be doing the artifact enhancement, so a little bit of a late game gear cleanse, if you will, where we're essentially going through this gear enhancement event, which used to be called an artifact enhancement event, but they have changed it a little bit. And of course, Esme is the final reward that you'll get for all of these events if this is something that you're going forward with, so you can get her fragments here. I don't think I'm doing it. I am trying to push through these events though and get as many fragments as I can, because those can of course be converted to High Mother mod fragments here in the portal. So I do recommend, essentially, with any of these fragment fusion events, even if you're not going for it, at least do, the champion trainings, do the artifact enhancements, do the, the arena tournaments, those things that are super easy, because you can get yourself up to this champion at some point, who is a very, very solid champion, all things considered. And, I mean, who knows? If you can do the fusion, do the fusion. Maybe she'll get buffed at some point. Maybe she has some sort of a secret use that we're not really aware of, right? So she is a very, very cool looking champion, that is for certain. The reviews on her are certainly less than stellar, though. So that's kind of my review on her, but we're going to be going ahead and we're going to be rolling up some gear. And I've already thought ahead a little bit, and I do have myself positioned on the right-hand side of the screen as opposed to the usual left-hand side, so that when I click pieces of gear, you can actually see what is going on there. So I am going to go ahead and sell this piece. And there's a few things that we want to do here. So first of all, I'm going to filter by just new. And this is essentially going to show me stuff that I've unlocked in the past couple of days here. We're going to go through and do a very initial cleansing. So I'm not interested in keeping like 5-star rare pieces or anything like that. So we'll go ahead and sell those. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go by the bottom pieces. I'm going to go by flat stats, and I'm going to go ahead and sell all, and I'll only be keeping gear from like very high priority sets. So for example, Merciless, Supersonic, and Stone Skin, everything else is going to go. And the reason for that is with those particular gear sets, even though they are flat stats, I can still potentially get use out of them by using the Chaos Ore on them to re-roll them. With these rare pieces here, we are essentially just going to roll them to 8 initially to see if we can get a double. This certainly isn't a bad piece for any sort of a damage dealer champion from the Relentless set, so we'll go ahead and keep that. This one here does have flat defense, but we do roll into attack, unfortunately, so that is going to be a sell. These are some speed boots of a 6-star rarity coming in from the regeneration set. Now, unfortunately, we did get 2 rolls into attack, but we do have crit rate and crit damage on the substats as well. So I will definitely be keeping those, because they could be useful for like a solo champion or something like that. Could have been a very decent piece here for, a Harima or something like that, but unfortunately it decides to roll like trash, so it kind of is what it is. This is shaping up to be a somewhat decent weapon. Double speed, double crit rate with accuracy, and attack on the substats. That's very decent as well. In my personal opinion, if you're really trying to min-max builds, generally you're going to want rolls of attack percentage on the weapon. And the reason for that is you can't get attack percentage on a shield. I don't know if you knew that or not. If you didn't, now you do. So essentially the lack of attack percentage on the shield means that you do want to compensate a little bit on the weapon. And then with the shield is where you'd be looking for your crit rate, crit damage, speed, accuracy, those sorts of rolls, right? So something to consider. We do have an accuracy chest plate here from Perception, which does roll into the mythical. So I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get it to triple up there. We can't. How many Chaos Ores do I have? I have 6. We're going to go ahead and rework this just to see if it gives us something different. So it's going to be a defense percent, it's speed, and then flat HP. Oh, that's pretty terrible, actually. I think that's going to be a sell. Let's go ahead and keep rolling some things here. This is a high roll of speed on an accuracy chest plate, so this could be very decent. We do get a triple roll there as well, so we are going to go ahead and rework that without question. We do get accuracy and then speed on it as well, which isn't terrible, so that could see use on somebody like a Ramen 2 or something like that. Nothing too crazy. This one does have a low roll of speed on it, unfortunately, so we'd like to be seeing 6s for the speeds, and we do get 2 low rolls there, so 2 rolls of 5 is pretty disappointing. That's going to be a sell for that particular piece as well, unfortunately. We do double roll into the speed here. Going to go ahead and upgrade it and see if we can get a triple, which we do not, unfortunately. Now, there is also a clan versus clan going on right now, so I am perfectly okay wasting a little bit of silver to try and get some extra points for that as well. We are going to be keeping that weapon just because it did triple roll into... this is a very decent piece, actually. So we have accuracy, attack, and crit rate, which is quite nice, so very good for like a bomber or something like that. We do have a triple roll of accuracy there, which is certainly something that I'm going to be keeping. Now, for protection... I think we're going to go ahead and get rid of the lower 5-star pieces because we don't really need those. Same thing for stone skin, perhaps, if they aren't decent
shutdown initiated.
pieces. I don't know if you were able to hear that or not, but apparently my headset's telling me that auto shutdown is initiated, which is a bit odd because there's audio playing. So I don't know what's going on with that. Perhaps it's getting low on battery, though, so let me go ahead and plug it in real quick. And yes, you are correct. This is Gary without the headset. So, shocking times. We've done a head reveal on this video. So, here we are. Pretty terrible piece here, all things considered. We do have accuracy here from a protection set. We're not really looking for accuracy, even though we kind of just got a triple roll on it. With protection, we're mainly looking for like resistances, HP, defense, those sorts of things. Because if you think about the champions that you're placing it on, you're placing it on champions that place a lot of buffs. So, we want them to stay alive so that they can be placing their buffs. And then we also want them to be able to essentially resist things so that if their buffs are placed, but they're not protected, then we can deal with that as well, right? So this is a very decent piece right here. HP, speed, and accuracy. I think we will actually go ahead and take this to 16. I'm very happy with the way that rolled. This particular piece, I think we're going to go ahead and sell. It did have HP and defense on it, but it kind of is what it is, I guess, right? So let's go ahead and take this one to 12 and see where it rolls. We have speed and crit rate. I am going to keep that just because I do need more speed pieces from this particular set, not necessarily because it is a good piece, essentially. If I already had some, speed pieces, I would probably go ahead and sell it. And in fact, I think this one's just straight up better, because I'm not really worried about, those extra stats. I want those HPs, the defenses, the resistances, those sorts of things to help keep my champions alive. This one could be pretty decent as well. I won't take it to 16 for the time being, though, just since it is only a 5-star, and I'll upgrade it at some point if I need to. This is another very good piece here as well for what we want from protection set. And finally, let's go ahead and upgrade these crit damage gauntlets. We do get crit rate and then a double into HP. Not really something I'm interested in, though, so let's go ahead and get rid of those. This particular stone skin piece here isn't really looking that juicy either, so we'll go ahead and get rid of it. Let's see what we got going on here for this stone skin piece. So we do get attack and accuracy. Now, this is a 6-star stone skin piece, so I'm going to go ahead and upgrade it. Another roll into accuracy isn't terrible. It does kind of fit those parameters like I was mentioning, though, about how we want attack percentage on the weapon, right? So that is something to consider. It does appear that that's a very strong piece for maybe like a He-Man or something like that. I do have to get a He-Man built out at some point here in the near future, which I'll be turning into a video as well. So, that piece might end up on him. It'd be pretty cool to see if it does. Double into crit rate, triple into crit rate with HP and accuracy. Certainly not bad. I could get use out of that on somebody like, for example, Taurus, Magnar, any sort of an HP-based damage dealer that you're going to want to put stone skin on. This is a 5-star piece, so I'm probably not really interested in keeping it unless it rolls insanely or if I can Chaos Ore it. And then for stone skin, if you think about the type of champions that you're putting it on, really what you're wanting generally is one of 2 builds. So, one of 3 builds. So you're usually putting this on some sort of a nuker who you need to survive through initial damage from the enemy team because, you just don't have the speed or something like that. Alternatively, sometimes you're going to build a debuffer inside stone skin. So, for example, Nishak, so you're looking for like your attacks, your accuracies, those sorts of things, or, even a go second debuffer like a Ramantu or something like that you could use fairly effectively in it. And then the other option is you're just looking for strictly support. So obviously your defenses, your HPs, your resistances, those sorts of things. We're going to go ahead and Chaos Ore this just because it did triple roll. So we get flat defense there again. With defense percentage, I'm honestly kind of tempted to keep that, because that could be a decent piece for like somebody like a Ultimate Death Knight, because he's not really interested in having speed anyway, so just having the flat defense with defense substat would be decent. That being said, though, we're missing a lot of defense by not having it on the primary stat, obviously, so we have a defense main stat with attack and crit damage substat on the Killstroke boots here. It doesn't roll well, we're not really interested in keeping it. Killstroke is one of those sets that's not, like, incredibly high value, in my opinion. It's basically just an upgraded crit damage set, so kind of take that with a grain of salt, right? Like, you're not really too worried about chaos oring this piece, this pieces. You're not really too worried about just, you know, building this out. It's just something you'll get over time. I was hoping to see a quad roll there, but unfortunately we don't get it. We have HP here. Not really interested in rolling either of these pieces. I'll actually roll the helmet just because it does have crit damage and attack. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with the channel for some time there, you'll see that I do have my Marius now as well, so we don't need to worry too much about holding impulse pieces or anything like that. This one here was quite exciting because obviously crit rate defense, and then, ooh, we get a double on speed. Not terrible. You know what? We get crit rate, we get speed, we get a ton of HP, and we get defense. I could see myself using that on like an HP-based nuker or something like that, because Impulse is a very strong set. It's very, very strong. So, oh, baby, okay. Okay, this is a very strong helmet as well. Very strong helmet. Only way this would be better is if this was attack percentage, obviously, instead of the flat attack. But I gotta pop my neck as well while I talk. But Impulse is incredibly strong because you're getting, obviously, first of all, the the speed bonus. And speed is everything in this game, right? Another nice piece here. But you're also getting, more importantly, the 12% chance to reduce the skill cooldown by 1 turn. So if you think about this on any sort of a champion like Marius or Newt, or even Sun Wukong in the arena, those sorts of things, right? It becomes very, very, very strong. We are going to go ahead and sell these pieces here, unless it's like a speed boot or something like that. I'm not really interested in, you know, rare pieces. We're going to go ahead and take this one to 8 and see if we can get a double speed roll, which we do. So I will take this to 12 just because I do use the Hell Hades Artifact Optimizer to build out my champions. And if it's not over 12... it doesn't count it for optimizer builds, which is something that I could change, but hey, it is what it is. We have HP, accuracy, and crit damage on this. Not really a piece that I'm going to fret too much about rolling up. We're essentially just rolling some of these because they are just straight up trash. Like, these are ass, these are dookie. Absolute booty cheeks, but we're basically just rolling them up to see if we can get some triples or some quad rolls so that we can potentially sink some chaos ore into them. This is a very decent piece, actually very, very decent piece. Double accuracy, double speed. Unfortunately, they were all, you know, 5-star speed rolls, or 5 speed rolls, I should say, so it's a little bit low. If you don't know, when you have a piece of any particular gear of a particular star ranking, so for example, 6 stars, there is a range of speed that it can roll, and I believe it's between 4 and 6 for 6-star gear, with 6 being obviously highly preferred, right? So generally, when you see pieces kind of rolling lowly, that's a good sign that you might want to sell that piece as well, right? Because in some cases, in some cases, a badly rolled 6-star, let's say like a triple speed roll on a 6-star piece of gear, if it rolls poorly, it could actually end up technically being worse than a well-rolled quad roll 5-star piece. So that's just something to consider, right? But this one's a bit of an interesting one, because we do have accuracy, HP, and defense, but I don't really see myself using that on any sort of a champion, so I can't justify keeping it because it's just going to end up sitting in my gear vault, and I already have so goddamn many pieces sitting in my gear vault. So I don't need more of them, essentially. And then same kind of thing here with the rest of the helmets. We're just looking for, you know, triple, double rolls, those sort of things. If this one rolls into accuracy again, it might be decent anyways, but unfortunately it didn't. low roll of accuracy here, unfortunately. Let's see if we can get a triple, though, and then potentially Chaos Ore it into speed. But, of course, we don't, so we'll go ahead and sell the rest of these helmets. Get rid of them. And essentially the whole kind of point of these gear rolling videos for, you know, if it's your first time watching or whatnot, is to kind of show you guys how a late game player approaches situations like this. So obviously in a lot of situations this gear rolling advice may not be directly applicable to you. So for example, if you have an early game account, obviously a lot of these pieces you're going to keep strictly because it's, you know, supersonic and it's going to benefit your account a lot, or strictly because it's, you know, savage or something like that, right? But if you're a fellow late game player, or certainly if you're an end game player, you may also have to be more strict on your gear, because kind of a weakness of myself is I do end up keeping kind of trash pieces just because it's from a good set, and I'm like, oh, well, hey, you know, maybe I'll use this someday or something like that, and then at the end of the day I just have like a shit ton of it sitting in my gear storage not doing anything. So this is a decent piece. We do have speed on a substat. We don't get a triple roll there on the speed, which is a bit of a shame. This particular one I'm going to end up keeping too, just because it does have speed and a double roll of accuracy, essentially. So this one could be a good rework candidate, especially if we roll into that resistance a little bit. So let's take it to 12, see if we can hit it. We don't, unfortunately. Let's go to 12 with this particular piece as well. We get no good rolls there. As you can see, Plarium has really perfected the whole sink your silver into random bullshittery, because they've obviously introduced the Chaos Ore. So there was a time in history where we wouldn't even spend, you know, a second look rolling up a trash piece like this, but then they introduced the Chaos Ore, which is now like, hey, even those trash pieces might turn into something good if you get lucky with the RNG. So now we all just sit here and roll up these pieces of gear that'll never amount to anything on our account. Now that's not to say that you have to, of course. You can always choose to just say fuck you, Plarium, and not and not roll them. I wonder why I'm not accepted into the content creator program yet. I have a feeling stuff like that is probably part of it, but you know, it kind of is what it is at the end of the day. I'm here to be a genuine content creator. I'm not here to snuggle up with, you know, game developers or whatnot just because I want to be in the content creator program. I did message one of their community moderators about it. I'm curious too, because I've applied multiple times, and this is a little bit of transparency for everyone, but I've applied multiple times to be in the content creator program because with the prerequisites they set out, I would actually meet the eligibility to be in like the tier 2 of the content creator program with the size of my channel now. So it's not just like some, you know, random BS where it's like, oh, I'm not getting in because I have like 1,001 subscribers and they want me to be at 1,000. It's nothing like that. Like, I am well past the requirements to be a content creator, but they have refused to add me for some reason or another. But I don't know. I never really talked poorly about Plarium in the past or anything like that. I've been pretty active in the community, obviously. I'm making videos on the damn game. Yeah, I don't know. I've been playing it for years now. I enjoy the game a lot, obviously. There will be the odd little remark like that, right, where it's kind of like, hey, I'm not a fan of what they did or whatever, but... And I guess realistically they probably don't like that at the end of the day because, I don't know. Corporations tend to be very neutered with what they tolerate. Which is kind of understandable, I guess, but... it is what it is. That being said, hopefully I'm in the content creator program here sooner rather than later. I think probably one of the biggest bonuses to that is going to be like the access to assets. So generally in games like this, if you're part of the content creator program, you'll essentially get added to like a share drive, and that share drive is going to contain like you know, champion artwork. It's going to contain like artwork for bosses. It's going to contain like all that sort of stuff, and they're kind of like already cropped for you, so you don't need to worry about trying to get those for thumbnails and stuff like that, which is it just makes your job so much easier, right? Because you can quickly import something from a document instead of like, oh, I got to go into the game, I gotta screenshot it, and then I gotta take that into Photoshop and then select it meticulously so it looks good, and then I gotta work on the color grading and all those sorts of things. It's just, hey, here's this character, hey, here's this boss, and then you're done, right? So I will actually keep that weapon because it rolled into attack and whatnot, and I will have to build out somebody like a Nishak or something like that in a pinpoint at some point. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of scroll through and see if there's any other random pieces of gear that aren't rolled up yet. This one rolled about as bad as it possibly could. A little bit of rambling there about the content creator program, but I'm sure there's some people out there like me who are very interested in stuff like this, right? So if you're thinking about being a content creator someday inside Raid, this information isn't exactly available a lot of places. It's kind of something that like you only know if you're in the loop, so it can be hard to have that motivation when you're first starting off. And I think this game especially needs more CCs on the scene, because at the end of the day, if we don't have new content creators joining the game, we're really just going to have no future to the game, essentially, because at some point, content creators are going to get burnt out. They're going to move on to bigger and better things. Life's going to happen, right? Somebody gets sick, or God forbid, somebody dies, right? Like in a worst case scenario. That's going to leave a massive gap that needs to be filled. So again, just some rambling while we roll some gear, and I would definitely love to open a dialogue in the comments with you guys if you're curious, or more so specifically, like if you've ever thought about being a content creator and then there was something that stopped you from doing it, or those sorts of things. I'd love to hear about that. I know I've been doing content creation for way longer than I should be, considering the size of my channel by now, but I wasn't really, focused into anything before, and I would upload very sporadically, which the YouTube algorithm does not like, unfortunately. So that being said, though, it appears that we have maxed out this gear enhancement event. Giving credit where credit is due, Plarium, fantastically done naming this a gear enhancement event instead of artifact enhancement event, because it implied that accessories didn't count for upgrades and whatnot, so that's fantastic. Only feedback I'd give is I'd like to see ascensions in here, chaos ores. Like, give me 100 points for using a chaos ore, give me 100 points for ascending something, right? Like that's all part of artifact enhancing as well. That's all part of gear enhancing, so it'd be cool to see that as part of this. I have a few hundred more energy that we're going to be immediately dumping into the event dungeon, because we have obviously the insane dungeon divers going on currently, and then we also have the event dungeon tournament as well. So things are going quite well so far. Let me know where you guys are at with the fusion, if you're going for her, of course. That being said, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.